The next great technology revolution is already here. But our question isn't only what machines can do, it's what humans should become. As artificial intelligence takes a larger seat at the table, the ability to understand, connect with, and care for one another may become the most important skill. So we're gathering the people thinking deeply about that future. Lawyers, founders, creators, storytellers. People who shape the world not for the sake of technology, but for the people, for us.
Today's guest is the great and wonderful and amazing Jonathan Lomurro. John is one of the country's leading trial attorneys. Everybody knows it. He's an author, an educator, and nationally recognized expert in trial advocacy. John has become a leading voice in the intersection of trial advocacy, technology, and artificial intelligence. His newest venture, the AMP method, combines a published legal framework, AI-powered tools, and practical training designed to help lawyers organize, communicate, and persuade more effectively in a rapidly changing profession. So, John, thanks for being here, and welcome to The Tell.
Pleasure to be here. Good to see you.
And how was that intro? Was it aligned?
It was superb. It was very nice. I didn't know who you were talking about, so it was very good.
We brought you here because we are really fascinated in human beings.
So am I.
And emotional intelligence. As technology is evolving and transforming and growing, how can we be sure as a human race that our emotional intelligence is rising with that?
The best way to look forward is to look back. And not everything that has been said to us as we grew up was to just make us better people. It was really to understand how to converse with people. I find that we are, as humans, communicative beings. And to understand what people want, you have to listen. If you do not connect with somebody on a truly emotional level, then they don't believe you care and don't want to have a conversation with you, or they'll hide, or they're timid. Everyone's like, oh, I'm an introvert, I'm an extrovert. You just haven't met the right people yet. Because when you're in a circumstance with somebody that cares about what you're saying, it's really easy to have a conversation. I have friends all over the spectrum of life, and I'm blessed with that because I was able to say, hey, tell me about yourself.
Wow.
I mean, you're a great artist. I mean, one of the best I've seen.
Thank you.
Out in the world. I mean, that is a gutsy move to walk into a lawyer conference. This is how I met him. Lawyer conference, sitting there, drawing portraits, and not caricatures, not joking, not something fun, but actually truly give part of yourself out. To me, that spoke volumes about who you are as an individual. That's what the world needs. People that are willing to put out who they are to others.
So how do you find those people? Is it just being blessed into the same room as them?
Keep your eyes open. Whether you're riding in an elevator or you're walking down the street, there may be somebody that could use a little smile. And by just being respectful, being kind, and wanting to know their story, you can meet the best people in the world.
Wow. Yeah. And how do you think we can continue to educate all people with this idea going forward? Because, No.
It's an honest question, especially since the technology, which I am an obsessor over. So I am pro-technology. I know that sounds crazy as a trial lawyer, but I am. The ability to communicate isn't just meant to be, hi, how are you, in face-to-face contact, which I believe is the most important contact. It is to understand how a person, what they're willing to put out about the world. Okay. I have 3 daughters, Gemma, Jade, and June. They're fantastic. And I make sure that they understand there's 2 different worlds. The world who you are online, where people can watch, everything's mirrored, everything's recorded, you're under a microscope, and the world that you have with your friends in conversations. They don't have to be mutually exclusive. You don't have to live life fake. You can live life who you are. And that's really where you find the true people to keep in your life, those that are willing to let themselves be free of those technological constraints that we put on each other.
Okay, now how do we put that into law?
Great.
Tell me what the law is.
So you have to know both worlds, right? You're getting a jury, and a jury that you're picking and trying to find who is going to give you a fair hearing. And you're only going to be able to do that with a few questions. And it depends on what state you're in, by the way. In Jersey, where is my home court, we're not allowed to speak directly to the jurors.
Really?
Yeah, it's everyone is always shocked by that. So before
Specifically a Jersey law.
it's a Jersey thing.
Really?
That's right.
Even in criminal?
Both. Correct.
Wow.
There's a test run going on right now that is allowing some questions from the attorney. Why that happened, I have no idea. I wasn't here 50, 60 years ago when they switched it, but the judge leads the questions, and they can't be about the case. So you're trying to find out about people and if they'll be fair without really probing into who they are. Having that, hey, tell me a little bit about yourself, which is the real way to find them. Mm-hmm. So then you're in an odd position. They don't want to be there. They've been summoned there under the fear of arrest. And they are worried, I'm missing work, I'm not with my kids, I could be going to the beach, I could be doing something else. How do you connect with those people? That is why the study of connection, the ability to be genuine, to stand in that courtroom and be who you truly are, is the only way to let yourself be vulnerable, for them to see that this can be one of a matching, a melding of the minds to get to the right justice and verdict in the case. And it starts from that jury selection. We get to suggest 3 questions. Okay, and I'm going to tell you my favorite one because it is the best. And it is completely irrelevant in most people's minds, but it opens it up. If you could have dinner with anyone, alive or dead, who is not a political figure or a religious figure, who would it be and why? Now, that question really makes you think. Everybody wants to jump to a family member. I'd love to see my grandfather again or something like that. But with the constraints, taking out the family members, then they go to religion, always religion. I'd love to sit down with, whoever
Gandhi.
it be. Yeah, exactly. Throw that out. Now, who is it? Who is it that really you're going to want to sit with? And you think about it. And getting them to think and open up about somebody they truly care about in whatever fashion really lets a part of them connect with you. You got time for a story?
Oh my, please.
So this is my favorite. So I was trying a case in Monmouth County, and a juror answers this question, and he goes, Bucky Fuller. Right. Your expression is exactly
Who's Bucky
like
Fuller?
The entire courtroom, and it is silent. Like people are like, what? And the judge goes, who? And he goes, Buckminster Fuller. As if that would have changed anything with anyone in that courtroom. And again, silence. And he knows it. Now he's angry because this is his most important person in the world and nothing's happened. He goes, he invented the geodesic dome. And that, again, nothing. And he goes, the Epcot ball. Oh, the Epcot ball. Of course, the Epcot ball. Now, this moment revealed a lot about him.
Right.
Okay. And I had to delve into this. So throughout the trial, it goes on. But this moment, this connecting moment that we all had, me, the jury, everyone, was so important to me. I look up Bucky Fuller. And you know what the first thing that came up on Google was back then? A gravestone. And the gravestone said, I am a trim tab. Now, I'm very confused at this point, perplexed as to what the heck is going on. And I'm in the middle of a trial. I'm going down a rabbit hole about who the heck is Buckminster Fuller and why is there a gravestone that says I'm a trim tab.
What's a trim tab?
Great question. So that's the next thing I do. Why is it that this is trim tab and Buckminster Fuller? And it turns out Buckminster Fuller is one of the start of the Mensa Society, one of the people that are smarter than I'll ever be. Okay. And he is an engineer and just a brilliant one at that. He creates Spaceship Earth and the concept that we are just a spaceship floating through time and that kind of stuff. But he also creates the geodesic dome during the war to pop up these quick tents that were secure, safe, and strong. And that's the geodesic dome, which is like if you cut the Epcot bowl in half, it's all built of different shapes.
Whoa.
Right. Very deep. However, the trim tab thing has got me going now. So he does an interview with Playboy magazine, which I had to read, just for the article.
Just the words.
Just the article. And I pull it up, and the guy goes, why do you do what you do to Bucky? And, Buckminster says, well, you could call me Trim Tab. And I'm sure the interviewer was just as confused as I am and you are. And he goes, well, let me tell you a story. The biggest ship in the sea is the Queen Mary. And everybody thinks to turn that giant ship, you need to turn that giant rudder. So when you're looking at trying to turn that rudder, everybody's wrong. The rudder doesn't move without this little piece called a trim tab. And when the trim tab turns, the rudder turns and the ship turns. So why are you the trim tab? He goes, when people say you can't change the world, I'm the trim tab that turns the rudder to make a difference so the world can be better. Now that story is fascinating. So I told it in my closing. I go, you guys learned about medicine. I learned about Bucky Fuller. And you know what? And after I tell that story, I go, now look at my client. He broke her trim tab. Her life is off course and can never be steered the way she wanted ever again. So this ability to listen, to understand somebody's story, and then turn that story into something that matters to you is an ability that is unique to trial lawyers. People that can reframe so that the jury can understand why it's so important that they're in that courtroom. Why is it so critical that their decision is made correctly? And it is because there are humans sitting at that table that need that honest answer of, hey, was I hurt because of him? Can I be okay? Can I be healed? Am I here to believe in a system of justice? And does it still exist in the polarized society of the world we are today? And I will tell you, I believe with all of my heart, the answer is yes. A jury might not want to be there when they start, but when they finish, they know why they're there. And that is a true insight into what we are as Americans.
Wow.
Small story.
Cue the applause.
It's podcast. Take a sip of the coffee, right?
Cheers.
Salud.
In order to get to that story, that brilliant perspective, because it's so metaphorical, it's so deep, it's so creative. I mean, it's pure art. It's artistry. It's storytelling. Do you need something about the facts of the case to fully believe the story?
Only story that works is a true one. And if you know your case front to back, and by the way, no lawyer should walk into that courtroom not knowing every single fact, every little emotion, every concept of what has existed in that trial, so that you can be open to listening to things that are outside and adjusting on the fly. And so when I read this, I was actually genuinely curious. Who is Bucky Fuller? And guess what? That juror was not on the final jury. I didn't pander to the juror. I just had a moment that we all connected with. And all the jurors in that room felt the way I felt. Ignorant of Bucky. And I needed to understand him. And when I did, I was able to understand the case in a different way. See, many people are injured on the inside. And when you look at them sitting in the courtroom, they look fine.
Right.
Yet they're suffering tremendously. They're having this problem that they can't articulate. And when they get on the stand, they feel attacked, or they feel the word alone in medicine, what are your complaints? Well, I'm not complaining, I'm suffering. They should get rid of the word complaint. They should make it, what are my symptoms? What's your suffering? Something that is actually honest about what's happening to people. They're not just, when we walk to a doctor, we're asking for help. We're asking, please tell me, how can you make me better? Mm-hmm. So when you know that, and you listen to those weird things come up, something during the trial, something as you're walking down the street, something your kid says, you're only thinking of the case because you know it so well. So that's how you find the story, in connecting something metaphorically to the one you're in, so that people can understand it in human terms. I believe creativity is something that I have been blessed to be given by my family and the way I was raised. And I could see things others can't. And I think you can do that. And I think it can be learned, by the way, to appreciate something that is a little outside the box. And when I sit and look at a case file, I don't just look at the facts. I look at the people. I look at the circumstances. Because everybody understands that something happened, but they want to know why. They want to know, why did this happen and what can they do about it?
Right.
So you empower the jury by connecting with them, making them feel part of the story, and knowing that at the end of the day, they write the last chapter. They're the real author of the story.
Okay, let's go back to one of the earlier things you said. If you could have one person for dinner, not a politician, not a religious figure, not a family member.
One person. Very interesting. I think I would have liked to sit down with Jerry Spence. Jerry Spence is a trial lawyer. He transformed the practice of law, and he really cared about people. He won cases in a state which people said you could never win in. And he did criminal defense, he did plaintiff work, he did everything with a smile, and he was true to himself. He built a good firm out there with good lawyers. I've had the pleasure to go out and speak in Wyoming. And I would want to know what made him tick. What was it that said, all the books say you should do it this way, and you're going to do it that way? I mean, his story about his Uncle Slim, I'll never forget. It's in both my books because I just have to tell everybody. Uncle Slim said to him, you could have, what good is $1 million saddle on a $5 horse? And he said that was, if you've got a terrible case, you can try the best one, but you're not going to win it. You can't win the race with the $5 horse, no matter how pretty everything is. Now, I've warped that to say you can buy all the technology in the world, but if your case is still a $5 case, it ain't getting there. Now, that was fascinating to me. And the way that he told stories, again, looking at family members to find inspiration, looking at the world in a different set of views. Trial lawyers have a different voice. The cadence, the pause, the reality in what comes out.
They're musicians.
They are musicians. Well, you know that. I told you that. we didn't even say that on here. That's always the best. That's a great one. I used to be a failing rock star that got to play with some great musicians that thought I was going to do that. Hence why I went to law school to stall out to the band made it. But it's very similar. You walk into a courtroom with a jury that doesn't want to like you and thinks all these bad things about lawyers and the courtroom and clients. Just like when you're the opening act for a big act and you walk into that room, they don't want to hear you. Will you get off the stage so I can come to see the person I wanted to see? And you only have a few moments to win them over, to transform them into fans. And that's the same thing when you walk into a courtroom. You have to really lay it all out on the line. If you don't, you're not doing your job right.
Curtain.
Exactly.
Have you ever felt like you couldn't represent someone who is coming to you with good intentions?
Many times. So the hardest thing we do as lawyers is decline a case. I've practiced in criminal law. I've practiced in motor vehicle general PI, and I've practiced now in medical malpractice. I've done all of those things. But you don't take what walks in every day. You have to run a business, and you can't help everyone. There can be a horrible thing that happened to somebody, and they don't hit the second and third elements of law. So at the end of the day, you need law. So there's 3 elements. Liability. Did somebody do something negligent? Did they make a mistake? Did they do something wrong? But then you need causation and damages. Did that mistake or that error or that neglect cause an injury? And then how much is the injury that was caused by them? So malpractice is hard. 100% of people in malpractice had something wrong with them before they got to the doctor. So because think about it. You don't go to the doctor otherwise. So there's something there that the doctor didn't put there. So you then have to delineate what was from what is and how the doctor caused that injury. So we had a case a very conservative county, very. And we had a wrongful birth case, which is very rare, very hard to take, because everyone's like, well, the child's alive. Don't you want it more alive than deceased? And the answer is not always. And that's a rough thing to say out loud.
Yeah.
That's a rough thing to be, because a family will be destitute and their life will be protecting. And the fear the parents have will be, what if I die? Who protect the child? That can't care for themselves because they should not have been. Now, that's a tough thing, especially in a conservative area. And when you have cases that go into that kind of analysis, where there was a reading that said this child will have severe X, Y, or Z and won't be able to care for themselves, and it's early on, what do you do? So those things are hard. You have religious implications, you have political implications, you have these things, but you also have the right of a mother to choose taken away. And it was fascinating to see how the conservative jurors that were like, I don't believe in abortion, but it blew my mind how strong people were on the right to make decisions, the right to know about their medical care and their child's care, because they could have prepared. That was one of the neat things that it said, is that if you knew, I'm not saying she would have terminated or not, but if you knew, you could have started saving. You could have built a room for them. You could have gotten another job. You could have done things before you became so overwhelmed that you couldn't ever get out of your own way. The jurors have different opinions on what matters in the case than to what I have. We sometimes fight for something for so long that we miss what's sitting in front of us. So you need to tell your story to everyone you see. You need to talk to your family members, your friends, your colleagues, the person down the street. Learn what matters to real people. Because when you isolate yourself in a profession, you don't know what other professions are seeing.
That's a beautiful way of saying it. Because, it's putting yourself in another person's shoes.
Yeah.
And you can't judge a person until you've walked in their shoes.
So there's a way in law that's been taught called psychodrama, and it's interesting, where you put yourself in the position of the patient during the procedure and walk through that. Put yourself in the position of the doctor. Put yourself in the position of a nurse. And if you're even really good at it, which, the pros are, put yourself in the position of the scalpel.
Whoa.
What does it see? When is it picked up? Why is it picked up? And where it goes? And it's a fascinating tool. So all of a sudden, role play that position of the same action and see what they see.
Yeah.
Then, because remember, I told you, we're looking for the why. Why did this happen?
Right.
We want to tell our message correctly. Nancy Duarte out of New York, she gives lessons on persuasion in speeches. Very, very talented person. Wrote the book Resonate. How do you make people resonate? And she studied Martin Luther King and all the great speeches and saw the highs and the lows. The lows are always tell them where we are. But every story has to be where we're going and what are we doing to make things better. And that was so powerful to me. That resonated with me. That I bought everything she ever wrote, read everything ever written, and said, how do you put that in when you're talking about a past injury? Because what you're really doing is you're telling about the present state of the client, the patient, and what their life can be with some assistance. How can you make them whole with money? That's really it. I mean, I can't bring somebody back that died. I can't give them their legs back when they lost it. I can't fix their child who has cerebral palsy. I can't undo the harm. But I could bring them some joy by giving them some stability, some support. That is a big deal. I mean, I've been at more hospices, funerals, weddings for clients than I have friends. Because by the time we've been fighting for them for 5 years and they've got my cell phone and they're talking to me on nights, weekends, whenever they're upset, when something's going on, you become family with them. And family needs to be protected and presented in a way of how could I make them better. You don't look at a family member crying and say, all right, tell me why you are where you are. It's tell me what I can do to help you.
Right.
And that is what the jury's about. Can you get them to say, how can we help? And we want to help.
So you're really getting the jury into the family.
That's it. Everybody's part of the family. We're all together. The world's
except for the defendant.
Even they understand. You want to get them to believe they don't want to hurt somebody. Most of them.
Right.
They just, you want to make sure that when they leave that courthouse, they don't do it to somebody else. So you want them to understand what the why was. Were they doing too many surgeries simultaneously? Were they running around? Were they not listening to the nurses? Were they ignoring the films? Were they trying to do a vaginal birth when they should have done a C-section? Were they putting their own beliefs among the view of the patient? And can I open their eyes so that in the future, they can be better people? At the end of the trial, you'd be shocked at how many doctors come over to me, shake my hand, and say that was a great trial, and I hold no ill will. Now, there's the opposite, obviously, of those that take anger, but those ones that do that, I truly believe will tell their colleagues, they'll get up the next day, and they'll be better doctors.
Right.
Because I am not here to take the system down. I'm here to make sure I hope nobody ever gets hurt again. I hope that all fixes. I'll find another thing to do. I got no problem with that. But until that day comes, I will make sure the system is held accountable when it does somebody harm. And then I will hope that they will make policies, procedures, oversight, maybe not put so much pressure on them and give them the opportunity to save a life.
And I hope you succeed.
Thank you. It's all about hope.
So, Jonathan, how do you see the law?
The ultimate equalizer. The place where the little guy can stand up against the biggest of corporations. The place where somebody injured can find hope. Someone who's been silenced can find a voice. I feel the law is the best that we have in each other when we let it. It's been so attacked in the world that we don't see what goes on in the court. Back in the day, people went to the courthouse like it was watching a TV show. Anybody could walk into the courthouse anytime and watch a trial. And once you see it, once you understand the reality that's happening in those walls, it is transformative. It is stripping down society and saying, here it is. Good, the bad, and the indifferent. The biases, the prejudices, the openness. It all comes out on the stand. And that is an amazing thing to be part of, to protect, to nurture the future, to fight to change the law to make it better. I mean, that is amazing to say that just some guy out of Freehold who didn't become Bruce Springsteen would still have an ability to transform the entirety of a field. I took part in writing federal law to protect patients. I took part in, I think I have 26 or so published cases in New Jersey helping to clarify the law for plaintiffs. The law is not just until it is settled, because we have to settle it correctly for what is best for society and people. And that is not voted on. That's not manipulated by money. That is going in and telling a story. Because we, going back to the cavemen, are truly a society of storytellers.
Wow.
And that's the law to me. My love letter to the law.
Yeah. I was actually in the appellate courthouse last week.
Oh, nice.
On 25th Street here in the city. And it felt, and I go to synagogue pretty often.
Right.
I felt like I was in a form of a synagogue. You had the large front area, which was this wooden box, and the judges came out of it.
Yeah.
Before, it was almost like they brought out the Old Testament. It's like they are like the embodiment of law, of the books of law.
Now try being a lawyer for the first time standing before that, because you have this belief in the law, and out they come like a firing squad of leaders that know everything and know more than you, and your heart beats and you tremble as you walk to that first platform the first time and you have to say your name. There's nothing harder than saying your own name for the first time you stand up in court. I don't know why that is, but I'll tell you this, each lawyer transforms when they get there. When you're in front of a jury, you get to be yourself. That's how you are successful. But when you're before the esteemed judiciary, you have to act as the lawyer that you should be. Knowledgeable, respectful, and focused. It's a different thing. And you have to fight, and you get fought. They ask good questions, they pepper you, you pepper them back, you do a good job. Every single Supreme Court argument and appellate now in New Jersey is on the internet to watch. So my wife got to watch my first argument way back. I mean, it's hard, 15, 16, maybe more, 20 years, something like that, a long time. And she watched me argue. She made it about 3 minutes before she had to shut it off. She goes, "That's not the guy I married."
Wow.
And if she saw me at trial, I bet you she'd have the complete opposite reaction and be like, there's the guy I wanted to marry. And so it is interesting. But your experience, and they make it that way, by the way, because it is a very important thing. And for a juror to walk in and a judge, they're raised. The platform's raised. They're in this robe that really is this flimsy thing. But up there, it looks like a true symbol of our society. And thank God they got rid of the wigs, but it is. I agree with you.
The way the judges were speaking, I was so impressed because it seems like their job is don't take a side. Just ask good questions to understand more deeply. And I thought they were doing that very beautifully.
So that's the best ones.
They were good judges, though.
They were good ones.
I hope I never see a not good one.
I hope you don't, and I hope no one else does. Most of them want to be there for the right reasons. But I'll tell you, this becomes a little odd. And this is, you saw an appellate. So you saw a legal argument. When many people come in for jury duty, they expect that from the judge. The judge is going to tell them what's happening and tell them why they're ruling a certain way and how they're supposed to act. No, the judge is there as the ref, the umpire, the overseer, the neutral in the case. And all of those things happen at sidebar. And that, I think, is the most eye-opening, is they're coming in and they're expecting to see, the My Cousin Vinny judge demeaning the lawyers in front of the jury. The great judges never demean either side and never let the jury understand which side they believe is doing the better job. A good judge is there to just call the balls and strikes and make a decision when they have to make a call on those objections. And those are the best judges. It's hard to be that because I couldn't be a judge. I'd want to try a case. I want to correct something that wasn't happening. I'd want to do it a different way. And while rulings are great and law is great, I like to be on the side of a person. That's where my calling hit. Yeah.
Talk to us about AI. I want you to sound like a science fiction writer for a second.
Oof.
And I mean, if it's relevant.
Oh, it is. Always.
Tell us 20, 30, 40 years into the future, what are some speculations that you have about how AI and the law come together?
I love that question. Okay, so I'm going to tell you the last 4 years.
And it's a safe space to be a little radical.
Yeah, I was born a radical. In the 4 years since AI has really hit the legal field, it has transformed into something nobody expected. Okay, it has infected every type of work. But the emphasis on legal work, everyone thinks is scary because it's going to replace me. It's going to replace that. It's an equalizer. The young lawyer that has the guts to put up a shingle and has no one to assist in thinking will have a bot that it can throw ideas off of and become stronger to make the best idea for them. You can learn anything you want because it will be at your fingertips. So in the last 2 weeks, I've built 3 programs to make my life easier. Now, what lawyer is vibe coding on a daily basis? Not many that you'll meet. But the fact that there's a group of us out there that want to press to do the next level. We will be able to walk into our offices in the future and have the ability to speak to AI like it is the greatest associate we've ever had, and then go to our associates that we're still hiring and say, let's focus on how to be trial lawyers. Let's focus on how to correct the output. Because the part that can't ever leave the law is the humanity. And we have to remind the jury of that humanity as that progresses with AI. So if AI focuses on facts organization and coldness, then it is going to open up the opportunity to those that wish to embrace it to find their own humanity and become better humans to connect and transfer information to each other. AI is not going to stand there, but it will stand next to you. I mean, imagine giving a closing statement and you memorize, you wrote this great closing. And I know myself, I get up there and then it becomes, you're just talking. But imagine wearing your Ray-Bans and having the closing written on in front of you so you don't miss a word. Imagine something that pops up even if you go off script and something flips and says, don't forget this. Don't forget to hit this. Something that would make it so you don't hurt the person you are protecting.
Right.
That is a cool thing.
You sort of have a guardian angel with you.
Yeah. And if you see it that way, it's great. But if you rely on it wholeheartedly, if you let it replace you, then you will be replaced. And that is something I don't want for the world. I want the next generation to have more humanity. I want AI to be seen as an advantage, more so than a replacement.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. It's a good question.
So if you were speaking to the next generation of lawyers who are still children now, they haven't even realized it yet that they're going to go to law school, what would you tell them? Where should they channel their focus?
When I was a kid, I feared medicine. Thought anyone that could do it was clearly more intelligent than me. Feared physics, science. I enjoyed it. I loved science fiction. I loved the idea of this transformative society, but I didn't know I could do it. We lost the inquisitive nature. When we hit the light switch, we don't wonder, how is the light on? How did the wire work? How did that happen? So we lose it. And if you say, well, I'm just not good at X, that's ridiculous. We can be good at whatever we want to be good at. So when the first car crash happened and they called me up and they said, hey, we need you to help us on this. And I was like looking at it and there was physics all over the place. The yaw marks, how long they were and the yaw marks, the skid marks created by the truck and the car. The photographs from around, you were able to determine the speed of the vehicles, how quickly they hit the brakes, what was their viewpoint, how long did they have reaction time. And I'm sitting there, I literally drove to Barnes & Noble and bought Physics for Dummies and started there. But the minute it mattered, I was able to learn.
Right.
And then medicine. It's easy to me now. It makes a lot of sense. Everything makes sense. Once you're willing to open your eyes to something you've never seen before and not say, I can't get it. Like how many times somebody walks into a museum and goes, I don't get it. Well, don't just go, I don't get it. Why not read the sign next to it? Ask somebody who's appreciating it. Why is this special? Why does this matter? And there's the true trial lawyer. Now I'm going to tell a story. I'm in New York. I'm literally talking about our work. This is one of the greatest trial lawyers I ever met, was a security guard at the Whistler Museum. And they were all great artworks, but they weren't anything special, meaning that they didn't have any connection. They weren't a Monet. They weren't a Picasso. They weren't even, a Norman Rockwell. It was just, why is this guy have a museum? What the heck? And I was staring at a pencil sketching, and the security guard comes over and he goes, you look confused. And I go, a little bit. And he goes, well, I'll tell you, I don't know why everybody else likes him, but I'll tell you why I like him.
Ooh.
Great thing. He goes, come with me. And he goes closer to the picture. I go, wow, this little, he goes, it's all right, come a little closer. He goes, see that right there? I go, the smudge? He goes, no, look at it. And I look at it. and it's a butterfly. Why is there a butterfly on this cityscape? And it's not even like three-dimensional or fit. It's just this butterfly that's there. And he goes, Whistler, the W, looks like a butterfly to him. And it was his mother's favorite animal. And he decided to put as his signature, the Whistler butterfly in every single painting and every single picture. And he hit it. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. It's like the Where's Waldo of like the 1800s or whatever. And I'm going around that museum now
looking for butterflies
instead of the artwork. But I'm telling you, I saw it in the way that he saw it. And that is what I would tell the next generation. Look to see how others see things, and they may open your eyes to something beautiful that you've never seen before.
Wow. That's an awesome story. If every lawyer or anyone who watches this could take away one message, what would you think that would be?
I think it would be that lawyers always want to talk, but in life you have to listen. And if you listen, you'll learn, and you'll be a better person for it. So always be willing to listen. I think that's a pretty good tip.
Jonathan, thank you so much for coming today.
Pleasure's all mine.
This is such a treat.
Thank you for the invite.